Hey there, friends. How's it going? My name is Popeye, and today we've got some more Umineko question arc. This is arc number 1 of 4. Before we dive into a recap, I'm going to give out some trigger warnings. This game has some pretty mature and heavy themes that we'll be talking about in just a second. This game deals with some mature themes, including but not limited to death, murder, dismemberment, disfiguration, torture, child abuse, anything of the above aforementioned against a minor. If that's not something for you, now is your chance to go find someplace that is more what you want to be taking a look at today. Hello, Samuses. Here's your hydrate. We've got both water today, as well as hot chocolate. Not sponsored by Disney, but there's my Disney mug. As well as a shot of Bailey's inside that. For a bit of extra warmth. Alright. Last time, we spent probably like half of the stream kind of going over character theories, going over how people died, because I think a lot of people had missed that previously. 26 aside. We had that the other day. We actually had to turn the aircon on yesterday because the house hit 26. Not that the outside was 26, it was maybe like 23, 24, but our house has a lot of windows and we never shut the blinds because we like the light. I assume it's everywhere else units, because Samus usually speaks to me in everywhere else units. So if that's freedom units, that's freezing. In which case you can have our snow. Yeah. Alright, so basically what happened last time is the kids had come back and we had been told to kind of stay there, and kind of this group here, the 4 kids, Hideyoshi, Eva, and Nanjo, stayed in the TV room and we're just kind of theorizing about stuff. Meanwhile, Natsuhi, Genji, Kanon, and we still haven't seen a whole lot of Kumasawa, but I think she went with them as well. They were trying to contact the police and kind of get everything prepped. Kumasawa did find blood in the dining room, and since she was not aware of the other bloody area we'd encountered, she was a bit surprised, and we eventually decided that it would be best to kind of close that off and let the police handle it when they get there, which will not be until after the storm, because apparently our sat phone is also out of order with the telephone, and there's no way for us to make it because of the storm. Also, apparently the boat, even if we want to, apparently the boat's at the shop somewhere on the mainland, so we didn't have access to it even if someone wanted to try. So, the theory that Eva proposed, that one of the people here is the killer, since no one has really been able to come, and if they did, they would have had to come before the storm, so it would have had to be at least 2 days here. Still not impossible. But that's her assertion, was that it is multiple of the servants. I think she's kind of implying Kanon, Genji, maybe Kumasawa, but she's quite older and probably not as physically fit for this kind of work. But the reason that she insists that is, 1, 2 people had to take on 6 people. Even if they were able to, do them one at a time, which is probably not possible since these 4 were all together. It would still take multiple people to move them to the shed in the time frame, and also a servant was needed to find the key. So I have a cousin who actually argues for the freedom unit of measure, but only when you're talking about temperature for humans, not for baking a cake or something. And his argument is, if you look at Fahrenheit as a scale from 0 to 100, it's roughly a percentage of how good you would feel in that temperature. So if it's below 0 or above 100, you would hate it. If it's, kind of like 50, it's like, take it or leave it, and kind of that goal range is around like 70. He said, and I have not fact-checked this at all, but he said apparently that's how the Fahrenheit system came to be, is that it was supposed to be a temperature system for humans. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Like, I know 32 is freezing. I know anything kind of above, like, 90, high 90s is hot. And I think the room temperature is what, like 80 to 82, somewhere in that range. But if you ask me, like, what's 55, I'd have to think for a second. Kind of anywhere, I would say kind of above 40, under 70 to me is not something I'd really think about too often. Also, I can't remember the last time someone gave a negative Fahrenheit temperature to me. Like, oh, it's negative 10 Fahrenheit, or negative 5 Fahrenheit. I can't remember the last time someone said that. Anyways, getting back to this. Eva then kind of presupposes Battler's flipping the chessboard, which is, for these people to die, who benefits the most? And that's Eva. Eva has come out directly saying, I benefit the most from this, currently, because it means all the inheritance now comes to me. So she's already called out, like, yes, from a money point of view, Eva gains the most from all of this. Now, the other piece of information we learned is Nanjo and Hideyoshi were trying to draw the symbol that was on the front of the rose shed. And this is new information for all of the kids, because by the time these three came, they had already opened it, so they didn't get to see it. And Marie obviously didn't come at all. But with Maria's knowledge of the occult, she recognizes it, and she enters into what I'm going to call witch mode, where, similarly to when she reads the letter to them after dinner, she gets like a very adult-sounding voice, both in terms of the actual voice actress or actor, I don't know, for her, as well as the words she's using, her manner of speaking. She becomes a very condescending person and has knowledge that probably Maria doesn't know. For example, she becomes fluent in ancient Hebrew. Probably not something Maria knows. But we learn that the symbol, because they're trying to draw it on a napkin or whatever, a spare piece of paper, and they don't have it quite right, but they're able to do it enough that Maria is like, oh, it's this symbol, then Maria draws it, including all the writing on it, and I believe it's supposed to be like angels' names, and the short of it is that the symbol is, well, first of all, there's a biblical reference to Psalm 18? But it's about sacrifice. So Maria is implying that the symbol is sacrificing the 6 people for, I believe, freedom was the word that was in the verse. And I think that's kind of where we end off, is Battler was reflecting on these pieces. It went into a bit of a moment of despair, and has just kind of pulled himself out of it. Yeah, and he calls back to Beatrice's letter that said this is a battle of wits. So he goes kind of back over that, and also contemplates how the Magic Circle, who we know his grandfather is also very into the occult, he thinks the Magic Circle is a signal, a sign, a message for the grandfather. The grandfather is still MIA. And with that, we'll finally get into that. So I skipped over this text. I'm going to read it first before we go back. I finally noticed the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought. some irritated, some depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the television as if she had never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program and happily yelled ooh, 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 and giggled. Ooh, ooh, but it's now ooh, ooh. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. So we're going to slowly look over the remaining people.
Suspicious.
Show love one, by the way. I got more free bits.
Well, you don't have to spend them. Be like me and hoard them, and I only ever spend bits if there's like a donation goal that people are doing for like a limited time donation, or if there's a hype train, because then I can get free emotes. Right now, Aunt Natsui was searching the mansion with the servants, though, wasn't she? Then it shouldn't be in this room. Welcome back, Destroyer. Yeah, let's do a quiz in ancient Hebrew and see who knows the most characters, and that's our way of seeing. In this mansion is what we should say. After all, there was also the possibility that Aunt Natsui was behind this. We still couldn't deny that one of the servants could be the killer.
I wonder how TDS will work with this.
It doesn't. It doesn't work with it. I got more UUWs than UUs from that. That is disappointing. Anyone could be the bad guy. Still, Aunt Natsui and the rest sure are slow. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Oh yeah, they were going to make sure that the mansion was closed. Although it sounds like maybe they've met their end as well. Just as I thought that, Aunt Natsui and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. The relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsui shocked. Talk I'd had with Auntie Eva started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all of those 6 at once.
驚かせてしまいましたね。
Okay, welcome to America.
万が一に備えて持ってきたものです。
That thing in Aunt Natsui's hands was a rifle. Glance at silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun, but it was unusually short. It kind of looked like a kid-sized gun. However, it had a thickness to it which revealed that it was definitely not some kid's toy.
それは金蔵さんの銃ですな。
ご存知でしたか。そうです。お父様の古いコレクションの中にあったことを思い出し、探し出してきました。
The audio for this is slightly overpowering their voices. Okay, that is doing live.
Shannon です。
Okay, let's try that.
ひゅー、すっげえ。夏日おばさん、それ本物なんすか？
ええ、本物です。実弾は発砲できますよ。昔お父様は野鳥を追い払うのに使ったりしていました。
Scare off the birds.
あら懐かしい。どこから出てきたんやら。私がいくら触らせてって言っても指一本触れさせてくれなかったやつよ。
へえ、じいさまこんなの持ってたんですか。知らなかったですよ。
お父様は昔西部劇にどっぷり使ってたことがあってね。あの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ。
Can the Americans confirm if that is a Western rifle?
結構年季の入った銃のようですね。 でもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました。
ああ、思い出したわ、その銃。懐かしいな。昔好きやった映画のガンマンが派手にぶっ放しとったやつだわ。
Our aunt came back in with a gun.
お父さんも渋いな。
Apparently, our grandfather loved westerns and got a gun used to use it to scare off birds.
親方様がだいぶ昔に。アメリカご覧の通り実銃ですので、どうかこの件はご内密にお願いいたします。
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入られて撃つより薬莢を出す動作が面白いらしくて、裏の森でいろいろとかっこつけて遊んでおられたもんですよ。
しかし物騒ね。
You'll see the gun again soon.
そんなものまで持
Her
ち出しち
character
ゃうの
model
か
now
しら。
updated to holding a rifle.
万が一
There
に
it
備
is.
えてで
There's
す。
the gun.
族はおそらく一人ではないでしょう。しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。私には主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
Natsuhi-san said this. She slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. As well as checking the doors and windows, she had been trying to find grandfather. His grandfather was not with her. Apparently the whereabouts were still unknown.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。ですが万が一ということもあります。みんななるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。
そうね。ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が安心だわ。
それはどういう意味ですか、エヴァ。
別に夏日姉さんの意見に賛成しただけよ。
There was a dangerous atmosphere between the two of them. If you thought about who stood to gain most from the inheritance problem standpoint, Auntie Eva was the obvious answer. Also, you should not be patronizing the person with the gun right now. Just saying. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. Now, if you view Beatrice's letter as grandfather's elaborate prank, and think of this incident as just an extension of that, there was more than enough evidence to doubt even grandfather. Aunt Natsuhi thought that the criminal was on the outside. Auntie Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was the question of whether or not a 19th person existed. It was the doubt that had been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner. The letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. Now, this isn't exactly true, as almost everyone is in this room, except our grandfather. He's still not here. So, everyone else is now in the room except for our grandfather. Was the culprit among us, or not? Did the witch Beatrice exist, or not? You assume that something as stupid as a witch couldn't exist. It is the same as saying that one of the relatives here who shared a common bloodline was the culprit. If you didn't like that, it would be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale about the witch. Did a witch do it? Draw that weird magic circle and sacrifice those people? If I could only accept that rubbish, I'd be able to completely trust everyone in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. They kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit was among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break our silence. Okay, we just jumped ahead about 4 hours to the occult. Yes. I don't remember the exact statistic, but in cases where a spouse is killed or a partner, lover is killed, it's something like 75 to 80% of the time it's the partner, or at least they're part of it. Lunch had ended and the servants had removed the tableware and were now in the kitchen. The wind and rain had neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. It seemed that at first Natsui had planned not to let anyone set one foot outside the room, but when it came to prepare lunch, she finally realized that this was impossible. Also, I'm sure someone's gonna have to pee at some point, so... However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told 3 servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, and many of them hadn't eaten much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
私が洗いますから、源氏さんとカノン君は少し休んでいてくださいな。何か飲みます？
Now, I wonder if Auntie Eva's in the other room right now, being like, if all the servants were in on it, why did we just let all 3 of them walk free?
私は結構。カノンは？
僕も結構です。
お二人とも早朝から大変だったでしょう。参ってしまうのも仕方ないことですよ。
The only sound was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Cannon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes slightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those 2 had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Cannon opened his mouth and muttered,
どうしてあんなひどい死に方を。
死に方のことは忘れなさい。ただ、運がなかっただけだ。
そうですね。ただ、運がなかっただけです。
They both fell silent once again. Cannon's expression was filled with grief.
シャノンちゃんが死んじゃったなんて、未だに信じられませんよ。本当にかわいそうに。
They don't care about, was it Goda? Just Shannon.
もう会えないなんて嘘みたいですよ。もう一度、あの子の笑顔が見たかったのに。
Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Cannon heard those words, it reminded him again how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
どうしてベアトリーチェ様はシャノンを生贄が欲しかったなら他にも大勢いただろうに。どうして
ただ、運が悪かっただけだ。少しの運がたがえば、シャノンの代わりにあそこに横たわっていたのは私だったのかもしれないし、お前だったのかもしれない。
And I mean, we could see from how he treated Shannon the night before that he was also just, just an arrogant dick.
あるいは
He may have been good at what he did, but that's not an excuse to treat people like garbage.
すべては運命だ。
源氏様、奥様の部屋の扉に血のような跡がついていたとおっしゃっていましたね。シャッターに書かれていたのと同じもので。
うん、気味の悪い跡だった。まるで血のついた指でドアノブを引き抜こうとするかのような部屋。そんな気味の悪い跡だった。
Scratch through the door is an interesting description.
ベアトリーチェ様が奥様の部屋を訪れて、そして扉を開こうとしたけれど開けなかったということでしょうか。
Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob, and the marks of something scratching against the door, it definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door but couldn't.
どうして奥様は生贄を免れたんだ。
Well, if we remember, on the other side, hanging off the doorknob is the charm that our cousin had given to her, Jessica, who had received it from Maria. So if she was supposed to be one of the sacrifices, and I think the poem of Beatrice says 6 specifically, maybe Shannon would have been spared if Jessica didn't give her mom that charm.
もし奥様が選ばれてたシャノンは死ななくて済んだのに。
Then a loud, sharp noise resounded from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised.
面白そうな話じゃねえか。俺も混ぜてくれよ。
Battler was standing in the doorway to the
バト
kitchen.
ル様、これは失礼いたしました。
Genji-san and Kanon-kun stood up surprised and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with continuing their
免除
discussion.
って言って抜けさせてもらったのさ。ずっとあの部屋に閉じ込められてると窒息しちまいそうだったからな。水でも飲ませてもらおうかと思ったら面白そうな話が聞こえてきたんでよ。頭なんか下げなくていいぜ。今の話の続きを聞かせてくれよ。
今のは別に。
ちょいと前から話は聞かせてもらってるんだ。今さら隠すなよ。だからベアトリーチェってのは何者だ。どうやらおとぎ話の魔女ってだけじゃなさそうだな。
Kanon-kun averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. Making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt.
夕べまでなら俺は無関係さ。だがな、今朝からは違う。親父たちを殺された時点で俺は立派な関係者だ。俺にもそのうさんくさそうな話を聞かせてもらう資格があるはずだぜ。
Glared into Kanon-kun's eyes as he still continued to look away in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in their heights, Kanon-kun had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit.
バトラさん、手を離してやってくださいな。別にカノンさんは隠しているわけではないのです。
じゃあ話してくれたっていいじゃねえか。仲間外れたら寂しいぜ。
When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. There was a slight sense of resignation on his face. It looked like he didn't plan on hiding
お
anything.
話しすることはできます。ただバトラ様がお気を悪くなされるかもしれませんので。
躊躇なんて男らしくねえぜ。内緒にされる方が気持ち悪いさ。聞かせてくれよ。どうせ明日までできることはないんだ。多少はうさんくさい話の方が退屈も紛れるってもんだぜ。
After Genji-san and Kanon-kun looked at each other, they nodded as though they decided to talk.
わかりました。何でもお聞きください。お話しします。
ああ。じゃあ聞くぜ。ベアトリーチェってのは一体何なんだ。俺が知ってる限りではロケン島の森に住まう魔女ってことになってる。森に入ると危ないからってんでばあ様あたりが作り出した脅し話だって聞いてる。違うのか。
いえ、違いません。その通りです。ベアトリーチェ様はロッケン島の森に住まわれる魔女であらせられます。
バトラ様、にわかには信じられないでしょうが、ベアトリーチェ様は存在するのです。親方様に莫大な黄金を授け、長いことおそばにお仕えした実在する方なのです。
はあ、よせやよせ。じい様の受け売りを言うのも給料のうちだってのか。
I laughed like it was a joke, but neither Genji-san nor Kanon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa Bachan, who avoided my eyes, blustered and started washing the utensils. Unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully, bitterly.
なるほど。源氏さんが断るだけはあるぜ。こいつは確かに正気じゃ気を悪くする。つまりベアトリーチェっていう名の人物は実在。
はい、親方様がこの島にお屋敷を構える以前からおそらく私よりも長くお仕えしているでしょ
う。なんてこった。 キリエさんの仮説は外れたな。じいさまにベアトリーチェという名の腹心は実在したってわけだ。そいつは今この島にいるんだな。
はい、いらっしゃっていると思います。
曖昧な言い方だな。ってことは昨日今日そいつの顔を見たってわけじゃなさそうだな。
はい、大変申し上げがたいのですが、その
Canon can once again drop his gaze, avoiding my eyes.
なんだよ、そこで切るなよ。鮮度目みたいで気持ち悪いぜ。
I urged him on jokingly. However, it looked like Canon-kun was still unsure as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa Bachan whispered.
お顔を見ようにも、ベアトリーチェ様にはお姿がありませんから。
お姿が？なんだって？
ベアトリーチェ様にはお体がありません。ですから、ベアトリーチェ様がお望みにならない限り、私ども凡庸ではお姿を見ることすらかない。
ベアトリーチェ様が人の姿をされていた頃の絵が、あの肖像
At
画
some
のも
point,
の
she
だった
lost
と
her human form. Also, out of curiosity, is she now a character? No. Make of that information what you will.
そのお姿を懐かしみ、よく肖像画の前に佇まれているそうな。
ベアトリーチェ様は時折輝く蝶の姿に身を変えられて現れることがあります。万一お屋敷の中でお見かけした場合には決してその後を追ってはならない決まりです。追えば不幸があるとささやかれています。その禁を破り大怪我をして辞めた使用人も実際にいます。
おいおい、マジかよ。あんたら本気でそんな話をしているのかよ。
バトラス様、すでにベアトリーチェ様がお越しになっておられます。そのようなお言葉はよろしくないかと思われます。
ベアトリーチェ様はご自身を冒涜される方を好みません。
We're screwed then.
その存在を疑えば
We're very
必ずや
screwed
不幸が
then.
降りかかるでしょう。
バトラさん、気持ちの悪いお話とお思いでしょう。ですがね、ベアトリーチェ様はいるんですよ。
います。それを疑われることをベアトリーチェ様はことのほか嫌われます。
わかりませんか、バトラ様。ベアトリーチェ様は今すでに。
おいおい、よせよ。俺そういうのは弱いんだぜ。脅しっこなしにしろい。
However, there was no trace of joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up
バトラ
fast.
さん、お願いですから、ベアトリーチェ様を冒涜することはおやめください。悪いことは申し上げません。
Kumasawa Bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally straight face that I had never known her to make.
いや、いるって言われてもよ、俺には何も見えないぜ。今俺の隣にいるとでも言うのかよ。冗談よせやい。
Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance, but her expression and the feeling about her presence felt exactly the same as the
課
servants.
長の合う合わないは生まれつきだよ。バトラは生まれつき波長が合わないタイプなんだよ。だから見えない、会えない、話せない。ベアトリーチェの一番嫌いなタイプだよ。
Maria's laugh sounded like she was greatly enjoying herself, yet it was extremely eerie. Almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't
ベア
understand.
トリーチェのことが知りたい？
Does Maria's eyes change color? Is that something we can see? No, she has purple eyes there too. Okay.
ベアトリーチェはね、1000年の魔女なんだよ。あらゆる悪魔を刺激し、錬金術を極め、賢者の石を生み出し、莫大な黄金を生み出すことができる。
We've got some information here. So she's 1,000 years old, commands all the demons, not just some, just all the demons, and can use alchemy to transform stuff into gold.
おじいさまは彼女と契約することで、後ろ宮家に莫大な富を築いたんだよ。昨日私がベアトリーチェの手紙を読んだでしょ？
You didn't say I read my letter. That's something.
あれは本当なんだよ。バトラに信じろと言っても無理な話だろうけど、六冠が生まれつきさっぱりみたいだからね。
なんだよそれ。魔女？悪魔？そんなの誰に聞いたんだよ。
ベアトリーチェ本人に聞いたんだよ。
Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. He heard it from that witch in the portrait, adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth.
マリア、聞くだけ野暮だろうが、もう一回聞くぜ。
I mean, as long as other people don't know that there's a now infinite supply of gold.
昨日、マリアにあの手紙を渡したのは誰だ？
ベアトリーチェにもらったって何度言えばわかるかな？わかんないよね。見えないんだもんね。信じられないもんね。
Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
バトラ、まだわかんない？ベアトリーチェがいるの。
いるって、どこにさ？
だから、ベアトリーチェがここにいるのが。
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for some time now that the others haven't been looking in quite the right direction. I figured that everyone had just been gazing into the distance, but that wasn't the case. We're here, Genji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria. Everyone except me was looking at a spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I'd known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was someone there.
ベアトリーチェは1000年を生きた偉大な黄金の魔女。でも波長の合う人間にしか自分の姿を見せられないし、だからね、それがとても悲しいんだよ。だからバトラみたいな生まれつき魔法のセンスもかけらのない人に存在を否定されるのがものすごく嫌いなんだよ。バトラは幸運だよ。昨日私にお守りをもらっていてよかったね。それを身につけていなかったら今頃ベアトリーチェのどんな呪いが身に及んでいたか分かったものじゃない。本当に幸運なんだよ、バトラ。
あのサソリのキーホルダーかよ。あれって安っぽい景品か何かだと思ってたんだが、ちとはご利益あったってことなのか？
それがなかったら今頃バトラがあの倉庫の中で顔面を砕かれて生贄にされていたんだよ。幸運だったよ、バトラは。
そうか。
Hello, Beardy. We are here with a witch, but we can't see her, but everyone else can apparently.
あれがなかったら、俺は今頃殺されてたってのか。
なんでバトラはベアトリーチェを信じないの？いるのに。今そこにほら。
We said everyone was staring at a spot behind us, so maybe.
信じる気になったでしょ？信じなよ。マリアにお守りをもらったことを感謝しながら。 あれがなければバトラは今頃倉庫の中。代わりに誰か一人が助かっていたかもしれないね。
Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been really fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately that last one didn't quite hit the mark.
じゃあ全然ダメだぜマリア。ってことなら悪いが、全然ダメだ。
So part of this mystery is kind of there's two sides. One is one of us the quote witch, the mastermind behind all of this? Or is there someone else, whether they are human or some kind of spiritual witch, demonic entity, whatever? And so people are divided. So it's clear from this conversation that the servants, at least the three who are alive, believe that the witch exists. Maria clearly believes that. Our grandfather believed it. It seems like for the most part, these core 9, probably Rosa and Nanjo, don't believe that there's a witch. So we're already kind of divided around that. And if you look at this, the people who didn't believe are the majority killed. We can see that Natsuhi was attempted to be killed, and Marie is claiming right now that we would be killed as well. So if it wasn't for that fact, then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be dead, and the servants would all go free. And we still don't know what's happened to Grandfather, he's still MIA. Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. It seems to imply that there's a witch, or at least someone wanting us to believe that there is a witch.
お前が傷つくだろうと思ったから、俺黙ってたけどよ。お前にもらったお守りよ。俺、ポケットに入れたつもりだったんだけどよ。どっかに落っことしちまったんだぜ。だから俺が今この瞬間に無事なのは、お守りのおかげでもねえし。悪いが、俺は自分の目で見たものしか信じねえ。第6巻波長魔法のセンス悪いが俺はそういう眉唾なもんは一切信じねえぜ。クラスの女が霊感がいいの悪いのって言い出すのを聞いてると虫唾が走るのさ。
You have to figure out what's real, what's not, who to believe, who to not. And we're not at it yet, but I think Battler is going to say it shortly. It comes down to, do you think that humans can, do something this foul? Or are we trying to put it on some other being because we don't want to believe that humans can suck so bad? That might have just been from the anime. That was definitely not a direct quote in any way, shape, or form.
あんたらがいくらじいさまに給料もらってるか知らねえが、そう簡単にはいかねえってことをよく肝に銘じておきやがれってんだ。
バトラ様。
Yeah, so our grandfather, his first name, the K-I-N, Kin, means gold. I'm not sure what Zo or Zo means or Kinzo together, but the part of his name means gold.
カノン君たちが信じるのは自由だぜ。だが、俺が信じるかどうかは常に俺が自分で決める。悪いがこの目で見るまで、ベアトリーチェなんてうさんくさいものの存在を信じるわけにはいかないぜ。
I spoke forcefully and sharply. Yeah, he had the name before the gold, apparently. I guess his parents named him like, one day, son, you're gonna have some gold. And I did, Marie started cackling again.
ならそれでいいんじゃない？いずれお前のような波長が全然合わない人の目にもベアトリーチェは見えるようになる。もうじき蘇るんだよ、ベアトリーチェはね。そうしたら一緒にいっぱいお話をしたり遊んだりしようって約束してるんだよ。疑う必要も無理に信じる必要も全く
Welcome
ない。
back, Samuses.
現れるんだよ、もうじきね。
Some people usually head to the bathroom right after a meal. Others prefer to take a short nap. I prefer to take a short nap in the bathroom. Oh, we're nearing 10,000 clicks. I don't know why there's a click counter. Yeah, I've ribs all the time. They're just, inside of me. It seemed that several people had gone out of the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. And Aunt Natsuhi's order to keep everyone packed together in the parlor was reluctantly withdrawn under the conditions that no one was to be on their own, and no one was to go far from the parlor. After all, if 11 people are shut up in the same room, starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Now that a little time had passed, everyone had started to recover from the shock this morning. Maybe their sense of danger was weakening over time, too. Samus says, "Are you the witch?" However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion, so no one was completely negligent. So when they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would get scared of standing there isolated and would end up returning to the parlor. Like the fable, the north wind and the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People sure are hypocrites. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor, just as Aunt Natsuhi told them to, and sat in the sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. It was how you said UWUW. Maria, almost as though she'd finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I know well, saying, "Ooh, ooh." What in the world was that back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, supposedly standing behind me invisible. However, it felt like inside Maria I could catch a glimpse of a little of that presence.
確かにマリアちゃんは魔女とかの話になると人が変わるね。昨日海岸でバトラ君も見たでしょ。
She'll love one does this work. Ooh, 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 ooh.
It looks like the space has the best uwu. Also, closed captions don't seem like they can handle uwu. Ah! Uwu is close enough to uwu.
サソリのキーホルダーの時か？いや、あんな機嫌を損ねるみたいな感じじゃなくてよ。まるで二重人格みたいな感じで。
ああ、たまにそういうこともあるな。さっきマリアが魔法陣の話を始めた時みたいなやつ、気持ち悪いけどな。
Apparently, according to Jessica, the hee laughing Maria shows up every now and then. This is just bad timing, and furthermore, it was the first time I'd seen it, so it really shocked me.
あれってのは何なんだ？マリアは二重人格か何かなのか？それとも本当に霊感が強かったりとかして、そういうのに憑依されたりとかしちまうのかよ。
そういうのじゃないと思うよ。バトラ君にも経験ない？小さい頃自分以外の誰かになりたかったなんてこと。
Right when humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period and their sense of self starts to be born, they start to gain a sense of individuality. They want to be different from other people. Clearly, Battler has never been on social media, where everyone wants to be the same.
Suspicious. Show love 1 AUEEUEOOUEAUEAAIE.
That's what it sounds like. But of course, they'll find that they're no different from the others in their class, since they're learning the same thing in school and forced into the same lifestyle. When they realize that, they start off by breaking the rules in what's called the rebellious age. As everyone follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. Even those who call everyone around them babies and stir up trouble are just cute kids searching for themselves, when you look at them this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Anarchy. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard.
Show love 5 I'm sorry, Poppy, but now I have to know. So you get extra biddies for this experiment. Love, Lan Fairpol Gwangel Gojerich Werndro Bolanti Silio Gagagok.
Cheer 1 I meant captions. Here's your bid back, MDS.
Okay, I can try making the vowel sound. Ow, you, yo, o, I. I hope whatever was in the captions did not just summon a demon. Well, that was when I was at the age when you start trying to stand out for the opposite sex.
成長期の根底には子供から脱却したいというひよこが殻を破るのに似た衝動がある。子供と大人の違いは何かわかるかい？
年齢？それとも
違うよ。経験だよ。大人が子供を見下すのは人生経験が少ないからだよ。子供が何を言っても鼻で笑ってしまうのは世間知らずのくせにと見下しているからだよ。
ああ、そういうのわかるぜ。子供の頃って妙に人生、大人は子供が何を言っても世の中甘くないとか社会に出ればわかるとか鼻で笑ってる。まあ実際そうなんだけど、子供的にはそういうのって見下されてるみたいでムカつくんだよ。
なるほどな。知識や経験の有無か。確かに年齢だけ無駄に食ってても尊敬はされねえよな。
となるとつまり子供から脱却したいという衝動を持つ時期にかつ他者とは違うという個性を持ちたくなる。子供からの脱却がつまり知識や経験なのだとしたら。
なるほど。他人の持ち得ない知識を持つことが一つのアイデンティティになるわけか。
小学校の頃なんかさ、クラスの誰も知らないことを知って持っていたり身につけていたりするとヒーローになれたよな。バトラもそういう経験あるだろ？
あるある。何か一芸に秀でたいと思うお年頃って確か。なるほど。それが子供からの脱却、つまり成長期ってわけか。
Yes. Yes, she did.
健全な意味での成長期はそうして。
And he was definitely very sad this morning. I think at this point he's just trying to distract himself. And I think he's also trying to like be quote the adult of the kids, especially for like Maria, and try to just keep everyone's minds off of it.
これは社会学的にも面白いことだよ。人が没個性を嫌うために人と違う技術を身につけようとする。これにより社会は幅広い技術を獲得して立脚する。神々の高度なプログラミングに驚かされるね。
まあ個性がネガティブに働くこともあるぜ。クラスみんなが真剣に勉強してるから俺だけはサボって目立とうとかよ。
That was actually me. It was only recently that I'd finally been able to feel thankful towards that middle school teacher who had slapped me after school.
でもまあ誰も飛べない飛び箱を飛んでやりたいとか。 成績のいい連中を周回遅れにさせてやるぜってマラソンで全力疾走とか。勉強はダメだったから少なくとも運動では見返してやるぜって根性はあった。なるほど。ちゃんと成長期してるな俺。
男子ってやっぱり肉体的な方面に関心が向くよな。でもよ、同じ時期に女子は精神的な面に向きやすいんだよ。バトラのクラスの女子にも占いとか霊感とかそんなこと言ってる女子連中のグループがあったり。
あったあった。人の星座とか血液型とか聞いてきて、やっぱりクスクスとか笑われると大いにムカついたもんだぜ。どこのクラスに行っても女子は占いが好きだし、決まって霊感に強いだの弱いだの、感受性がどうこう、見えないものが見えちまうだの、そういう手合いが必ずいたもんだぜ。
占いも霊感も学校では教えないものだからね。男の子と違い内向的な世界に関心を持ちやすい女の子にとって、それはアイデンティティを確立しやすくてかつ興味深いジャンルなんだよ。
男子が成長期に入ると急に悪ぶったりして大人に反抗を始めるのと全く同じに、女子も成長期に入るとそういうのに興味が出るようになるんだよ。私はそうでもなかったけどさ。
つまりマリアがオカルトに関心を持つのは年頃の女の子としてはそう珍しくもないって。
Even if you accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Well, I think I can accept it vaguely.
さっきも言った通り、大人になるというのは知識や経験を持つことを言う。だからそれを得るために子供たちはいろいろなことを学んで子供を脱却しなければならないんだけど、子供の世界に今も昔もはびこっているある便利な妄想があるんだよ。わかるかい？
漫画やアニメに多いだろ。ほらあれだよ、前世の記憶が蘇ってとか、偉大なるなんとかの魂が乗り移ってとか。
他にも遺伝子が覚醒したりとか、封印されていた能力やら記憶やらが戻ったりとか、いろいろあるな。どういうわけか、あの時期はそういうのがやたらと流行るもんさ。どうしてだ？
今挙げたキーワードは全て子供の自分に知識や経験を直ちに付加できる幻想だからだよ。9歳の女の子も1000年を生きた魔女が私に憑依していると言い出せば1009歳のアイデンティティが得られるわけだからね。
まあつまり勉強するのは面倒くさい。でも人とは違うスキルを持って周りに威張りたい、ちやほやされたいっていう連中にとっては便利。
You can brag about something without having to work hard or study. I see, isn't that a kid's greatest dream?
あとは子供からの脱却願望には必ず自分の理想像の自己投影が行われ、その願望の姿が別人格として形成されることが少なくない。バトラ君だって家と学校では多少キャラクターが違うということがあるんじゃないかな。多分家での自分の姿をクラスの友人たちに見せるのは恥ずかしいはずだよ。学校の自分は自分のなりたい姿の投影で、家の自分は本来の姿だから。
つまりキャラクターの使い分けというか、人格の多重化はごくごく当たり前だと言いたいわけか。
オカルトが好きな女子はそれを憑依と言ったり覚醒と言ったりするぜ。正直ドン引きするくらいにキャラを変える子もいるよ。男子にもいるだろ。キレたとか言ってやたらめったら粗暴キャラに変身するやつが。あれ本人はかっこいいと思ってるんだろうけど見てて痛いよな。
つまりおさらいするとだ、マリアくらいの年頃の女の子がさっきみたいな不気味なにそれほど珍しいものじゃない。
簡単にまとめるとそういうことだね。アイデンティティは自己を形成するための大切なもの。それをバカにしたりするとかえってその殻に閉じこもってしまうこともある。だからほどほどに付き合ってあげるのが大切なんだよ。それを丸ごと受け入れてあげるのが親の包容力というものなんだけどね。
兄貴、それで独身って信じられねえぜ。
Battler bringing up the like fresh wounds.
もう子供が中学くらいに上がってそうな貫禄さ。じゃあローザおばさんもあのマリアの二重人格についてはよく知
ってたぜ。ここだけの話。ローザおばさんはすっごく嫌がってた。
Has anyone discussed who Maria's guardian's gonna be now that her mom's dead?
気持ち悪いし、クラスでますます孤立を深めるだけだって。だからマリアがオカルトの話を始めたり、魔女みたいな声で笑い出したりすると必ずビンタしてたぜ。だからマリアもローザおばさんがいる時にはそういう話をしないようになったみたいだけど。
Maybe it was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. The thing that had happened back there. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. Yes. And since she wanted to have another side of her that wasn't infantile, she was switching between the normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. In the beginning, I had found it very disturbing, but after George Aniki's lecture, I felt like this was a path that everyone walked down at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a whole gang of kids, trying to form an Earth Defense Force saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember how, during what we call battle practice, we chant EDF, EDF. Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV, oohing and laughing just like any girl her age. But on the inside, another personality, that of the ideal witch she admired and blindly accepted, was sleeping. Yeah, Aniki is older brother, and it can also kind of be a term you'll sometimes see in anime and manga as a term for like an older gang member. They'll sometimes call like an older male gang member Aniki as well. That wasn't anything extraordinary, it was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. I haven't heard it, but I assume the female equivalent would be Aneki, A-N-E-K-I, but I don't recall ever seeing that. I calmed down a little. I'd started to recover from the shock of my bizarre experience in the kitchen. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still have been frightened by the idea that an invisible witch was standing right behind me. However, can I really accept that as an explanation of what happened back there? If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle fantasies of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kanan-kun, and Kumasawa-ba-chan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They had silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Auntie Eva had claimed that no 19th person existed, saying that someone within the family had committed the crime in connection with their messy quarrel. On the other hand, Aunt Natsuki had claimed that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion. This meant that she was denying that the crime had been committed by one of us and accepting that a 19th person exists. In the kitchen, Marie and the servants had agreed that a 19th person exists. But according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They had said it was an invisible witch plotting something mysterious. Is there a 19th person or not? Is this culprit a human or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of the possibilities, not even the most ridiculous one about the witch.
Jessica, ベアトリーチェの話ってのは、俺の認識では森に子供たちが迷い込まないようにってこの屋敷じゃ違うのか？
私もバトラと同じ意見だぞ。こんなのは子供に言うことを聞かせるために親が作った間抜けな階段だと思ってる。でもそうだと口にはできない空気が屋敷内にあることは否めないな。
おじい様が ベアトリーチェは存在すると公言されているからね。使用人たちは立場上それを疑えないし、クラウスおじさんたちもおじい様と喧嘩がしたいわけもないから、表向きは口を揃えてる。だから多分このお屋敷ではベアトリーチェの存在を疑うことはある種のタブーだと思うんだよ。
Okay, I'm back.
年に一度しか来ない僕たちと違ってね。そうでしょ。
Just like a puffed out air and admiration. Looks like Anaki had guessed right.
ジョージ兄さんの言う通りだぜ。みんな腹の中じゃ信じてるわけじゃない。でも表向きはその存在を認めてる。ほら、神様の存在を認めるような、実際にはいないことを知っててもそれを口に出して否定したら野暮みたいな空気だな。
使用人たちの間ではどういうことになってんだ。やっぱり雇い主のじい様がいるって言ってんだから、それに口調を合わせてるわけか。
さあ、詳しくはわからないけど、使用人たちの間ではベアトリーチェの話はある種の怪談扱いになってるよ。ほら、昨日海岸でシャノンが話してくれたろ。夜見回りをしている時、不気味な何かを見かけたとか、そういう話。
She'd said something like that, hadn't she? Back then I didn't give it much thought, assuming she was just going along with displease Maria. Now that I think about it, she did say that, and completely seriously. That's right, she definitely said it. Definitely said that the same kind of thing that Genji-san and the rest had all unanimously declared back in the kitchen.
他にも鬼火や輝く蝶々が舞っているのを見たという使用人も、カノン君もそれらしいものを以前夜の見回りの時に見たことがあると言ってました。あと最近ではお屋敷の中で深夜に不思議な足音をよく聞くと使用人の間で話題です。私たちは肖像画の中のベアトリーチェ様が姿を消してお屋敷の中を散歩しているんだろうと囁き合ってるんですよ。ずいぶん前ですが、私もそうかもしれない足音を夜の見回りの時に聞いたことがあります。
That's right, she definitely said that. Exactly the same thing that I've been told just now.
でも怯えることはないんですよ。ベアトリーチェ様は親方様とは異なるもう一人のお屋敷の主です。だから変に怯えたりしないで敬意を持っていれば決して悪いことはしないのだそうです。
ただし敬意を持たないと恐ろしいんだったね。
はい、私が勤めを始める直前に階段を転がり落ちて
This was, I think, what
腰に大怪我をして辞めた方は
Canon had said that someone had chased one of the butterflies and quit because of an
ベ
injury.
アトリーチェ様のことを悪く言っていたそうです。だから使用人たちはベアトリーチェ様のお怒りに触れたのだろうと。
敬わないとお怒りに触れて怪我をする。つまり使用人たちにとってベアトリーチェって存在はお稲荷さんにいたずらしたらお狐様のたたりがあるってくらいには信憑性があるわけだ。
This is a type of temple in Kitsune are like fox spirits. I'm curious now. So those are in green. Those in tips now. Yeah. Yeah. Fox shrines. Of course, even though people accept that curses and the like don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have a little respect for them. See it a lot, even in residential areas, such as when someone is building a house and they call a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the god of that plot of land. You might think that's just a big waste of time and money. The workers say that a big accident will occur if they don't do it. They apparently never neglect the procedure. We also hear about how, if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanning, there would be a curse by Kitsune-sama. think I might have read somewhere that when the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, they had to remove an Inari sun that was in the way. All the workers were suddenly taken out by some fearsome fever. Even in modern cities like Tokyo, it isn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this isn't limited to Japan. It's probably similar to how people baptize babies. If I remember correctly by the Christian doctrine, unbaptized souls, though their sin is the lightest, still fulfill the condition for going to hell. Putting water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if a parent can prevent their child from going to hell with just a little effort, they'll happily go through with that ceremony. In short, even in this modern society of reason, we're still unable to throw away every trace of belief and fear. You'd say it's a passive acceptance of the supernatural. Maybe the only difference on this island is that Beatrice was the name that was respected here.
じゃあ、つまり、この島で、とても人間技とは思えない何かが起これば、それはベアトリーチェの仕業だ。シャノンちゃんも言ってた気がするな。ちゃんと閉めたはずの窓や扉や鍵が、もう一度見回りに来たら開いていたとか、消したはずの明かりがついていたり、つけたはずの明かりが消えていたりとか。んで、確かジェシカは、朝出かけようとしたらカバンが見つからないのもベアトリーチェの仕業だってふざけてたんだよ。
よく覚えてるな。普通なら妖精さんが隠したとでも言うところが、この島ではベアトリーチェがになる。ま、そんなくだらない話さ。
このお屋敷も築30年くらいになるそうだからね。それだけになれば多少の怪談やオカルトは生まれてくるものだよ。学校の七不思議なんかのようにね。
そこでチェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。
え？
つまりこの島では人間にはできないことはベアトリーチェの仕業と置き換えることができるルールがあるってわけだ。人間にはできないこと。人間は何人だ？ 18人だ。つまり犯人はこの島のルールにのっとってこの事件は魔女の仕業だとアピールしてることになる。つまりそれは19人目の仕業ですよと訴えたくて仕方がないわけだ。気に入らねえぜ。全然気に入らねえ。
気に入らないって何がだよ。
仮に不可視の19人目が存在してそいつが自分の存在をアピールしたいなら俺ならもっと完璧なタイミングでやるぜ。
完璧なタイミングでってのは
ああ。だって事件は深夜から未明にかけて起こったのは深夜まで話し合いをしてたり夜勤をしてたりあるいは部屋に帰って寝ていたりどいつもこいつもアリバイがあやふやで十分内部犯行が疑える段階だ。ジョージの兄貴もエヴァおばさんに聞かされてるんだろ。内部犯行の可能性が高いって話。
まあね。
つまり不可視の19人目が実在したなら最初の事件は自分のアピールに失敗してるんだ。いやそもそも時間帯がミステイクだ。不可視の19人目をアピールするためには死んだ6人以外の12人が全員白であることが確定している状況下で行われなければならない。疑わしい人間がゼロにならなきゃ自分の存在をアピールできないんだよ。だから全員のアリバイが一番あやふやになる深夜の時間帯は19人目にとって自分が一番あやふやになる時間帯でもあるにもかかわらずその時間を選んで犯行に及んだ。
Okay, so we've got the two sides of this. The side one is kind of the story of the witch. That she's been here with grandfather the whole time, that there's things that are unexplained that happen that people think couldn't be caused by humans, such as windows and doors opening during the night after people have locked them, or things just mysteriously disappearing. That gets blamed on Beatrice. And what Battler's saying now is let's reverse that. If you were Beatrice and wanted to make yourself known, why would you do something in the middle of the night when everyone's like asleep and people aren't together, and it would be really easy to be like, oh, so-and-so could have just snuck out of the room and done this, or the servants could have banded together to do this. So what he is saying is, this feels like someone trying to pretend that there's another person, like, oh, there's no way humans could do this, must be the work of the witch, to pin it on them.
そんな時間に犯行を起こせば18人の誰かが疑われるのは明白にもかかわらず、マリアに手紙を渡して魔女を名乗り、誰もが自分でないと否定している。
つまりベアトリーチェという19人目がいるように見せかけたい人間が18人の中にいると。なんだかぶっ飛んだ発想だな。まだおふくろの屋敷の外に不審者が潜んでいるって話の方が信憑性があるってもんだぜ。まさかバトラはこの客間の中に犯人がいると疑っているのかよ。
ああ、何者かが俺たちにベアトリーチェが存在すると。そうさ、昨べのあの手紙からもう証拠も根拠も何もねえけどな。チェス盤を逆さにした限りじゃ俺の見立てはこんなところだ。
ぶっ飛びまくってるにも程が。妙な推理小説の読みすぎじゃねえのかよ。
でも無視できない着眼点もあるね。19人目がいるかいないかは別にしても、その犯人は確実にこの島のルールにのっとって何かを仕掛けてきている。僕はね、今バトラ君の話を聞いていて少しだけ気持ち悪いことを思い出してたんだよ。
気持ち悪いこと？
うん、覚えてるかい？ベアトリーチェの手紙。ベアトリーチェは利子の回収を行うと言っていたね。そして利子とは後ろ宮家のすべてだと言った。
Just when I thought back, what Marie had read aloud the previous night.
確かに言ってた。そして利子の回収をこれから行うが、黄金の謎を解いたらその権利を失うとも言ってたよな。
おじいさまは黄金を授かり、後ろ宮家を再興した。つまり黄金を資本に生み出したもの全てが利子だってベアトリーチェは言っている。つまり
冗談きついぜ兄貴。まさか後ろ宮家の全て、つまりじいさまが生み出したもの全てってことは、じいさまから血を分けた一族のことを指すってのかよ。
あの手紙をそう読み解いたなら、この殺人はベアトリーチェが行った正当な利子の回収ということになる。となればこの事件はまだ続くよ。利子の回収はまだ途中なんだからね。
George turned around, looking over the parlor. There were so many people who held the name Ushiromiya. And we knew that, since Goto-san and Shannon-chan had been killed, not even the servants who didn't bear the name Ushiromiya would be spared.
私たちでもおかしいよ、ジョージ兄さん。ならどうして6人だけ？他に大勢殺せたはず。下手をすれば寝込みを襲って全員を一晩で殺すことも可能だったはず。どうしてそれをしなかったの？
特別条項だよ。黄金の謎を暴く者が現れたら利子の権利は失われる。そして手紙の最後にはこう結ばれていたはずだよ。おじいさまの黄金の謎をみんなで解いてみろとね。
ジーザス、ようやく犯人のメッセージが分かってきたじゃねえか。つまり犯人は俺たちにじいさまのあの碑文の謎を解いてみやがると言ってるわけだ。しかもぼやぼやしてればどんどん利子の回収を進めちまう。
I realized that this was all based off of several crazy guesses. Not everything that happens in this world is joined together in a perfect line. Most unknown phenomena are nothing but individual points. Yep. By joining them together in lines, we deepen our understanding. The closer together the points at the end of those lines are, the more logical it is, and the easier to understand. And the farther away we are, the more it lacks those qualities. That is why we use distance analogy and call such theories as way out there. So if you can only join up to a small limited distance away, we call it having a limited imagination. Is imagination different from reasoning? Was I just trying to force everything that I knew about the case to fit my simple imagination? No, that's not it. When you're searching around with your hands in the dark, that search is imagination. Only imagination can find the 2 points that you should connect together. Reasoning is nothing more than the act of drawing the line between them. You can't imagine, you can't reason. What I was doing might be out there, but it shouldn't be wrong either. Only the power of imagination can pull out a clue from the darkness. The power of reasoning ties those clues together. A lot like the process of searching out an enemy's weak point and striking. It's alright if it's crazy, find the weak point first, then we can think about how to strike. Now is the time to find the points we can tie together later. For the time being, I put aside whether a 19th person exists and announced the theory the goal of the culprit might have been to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph. Uncle Hideyoshi looked like he was really interested, but Aunt Natsuki thought it was ridiculous.
確かにそう考えるとあの怪しい手紙も納得がいくというもんや。その動機はなかなかええ線をいっとると思うで。マリアちゃんに手紙を渡したのが誰かはさておきな。
ベアトリーチョいる。
Even though she was puffing up her cheeks in that cute way she'd been doing since yesterday, I couldn't think of it as cute. If I took it lightly, it might suddenly transform into a creepy laugh.
隠し黄金など存在しません。ですが、その存在を妄信する犯人がお父様の黄金を目当てで、それを私たちに解かせて横領を企んでいるという動機は、なるほどとうなずけるものがあります。しかし、ならばなぜ後宮家の主要な人物ばかりを最初に殺したのです？
道理ですな。謎を解かせるなら金蔵さんに近しい人物を先に殺すことは得策ではないはずで。
そうね。それにその論法で行くんだったら最初にお父様を脅迫した方が早くない？
I mean, they could be threatening her grandpa. We don't know where he is.
私たちに謎を解かせるよりも本人に答えを聞いた方が早いはずよ。
確かにその通りや。もっともお父さんが並大抵の脅迫で口を割るとは思えんが。
金蔵さんをよく知る方なら金蔵さんが並大抵の脅しには屈しないことをよく存じているでしょう。
これだけの財産を持つ後宮家を背負われる方です。今日まで様々な攻撃や脅迫にさらされてきました。それら全てに打ち勝ってきたからこそ今日の繁栄があるのです。
それに関しては私も同感だぜ。うちのじい様が脅されて何かに従うなんてちょっと想像もつかないぜ。
ジェシカ、言葉遣いがはしたないです。
はい。
ならこういう発想はどうだろう。いや、これもぶっ飛んでるか。
Couldn't hesitate. A crazy idea is like a bow and arrow. It'd be hard to hit with, but it's a great weapon that can strike enemies from afar. Research shows that most people who died in battles were killed by wounds from arrows. In a battle, you don't shoot off just one arrow. You shoot off a whole bunch of arrows at once and assault the enemy soldiers with a wall of them. So shoot them over and over. Assault the truth with a wall.
犯人が隠された黄金が狙いってんなら、俺たちに解かせるのは効率が悪い。謎を作った本人に答えを聞く方が手っ取り早いさ。じゃあさ、これ全てじい様に当てたメッセージってことじゃないのか。
In other words, these murders were a threat directed at grandfather. He didn't tell the culprit where the gold was. His family members would be killed off one by one. What if we weren't the only ones being forced to solve this riddle? What if grandfather was too? Think about it that way, it explained grandfather's mysterious disappearance. The culprit had attacked grandfather. Then, judging by the state the 6 bodies were left in, he would definitely have been displayed somewhere with that horrible makeup added. But despite that, we still hadn't found him.
I was a problem.
That mean that grandfather had been kidnapped and was being held somewhere?
そんな。まさか、そんな。
Yeah, he'd be like, thank you for finally taking care of those ungrateful kids.
面白い話じゃない。つまりお父様はどこかに監禁され、黄金のありかを話さないと次々に殺人を繰り返すぞと。
その話のどこが面白いのか。
Anatsu threatened her. Auntie Yu just smiled
この
calmly.
時間になっても姿を現さない以上、おじい様が事件に巻き込まれているのはほぼ間違いないと思います。それを思えばバトラ君の仮説も無視することはできないんじゃないですか。
ジョージは黙ってなさい。そもそもお父様っていついなくなったのかしら。
At the very least, he was missing from this morning.
最後にお父さんの姿を見たのは誰や？
多分私でしょう。今朝主人たちの姿が見えないと騒ぎになった時、私がお部屋にお伺いしてそこでご挨拶をしました。そういえば書斎の鍵をずっと借りっぱなしですね。源氏、これは。
Anatsu pulled out the gold key and handed it to Genji-san. Looking at the key, Matsuhiba giggled.
ねえ源氏さん、どうせ警察はお父様の部屋も徹底的に捜査すると何を隠していてもどうせ暴かれちゃう。だったらちょっと早く今この場で話してくれてもいいんじゃないかし。
何のお話でしょう？
シンプルな話。お父様の書斎はその鍵がなければ外から入る、その定義の確認をしたいの。お父様の部屋には入り口が一つある。あとは窓？他に出入り口は？
ありません。中に入るには入り口しかありません。
間違いなくね、秘密の隠し扉なんかがあったりはしないのね。お父様が不在である以上、後宮家の最高序列者は私よ。その後宮家の当主代行として聞いているの。それを理解した上で答えな。あの部屋には入り口以外に他に出入り口は？お父様の最高の側近だったあなたは知っているはず。
Natsuhi looked a little offended about that part about being a high-strength family member. Kept her mouth closed for the time being and waited for Genji's answer. Couldn't help but feel a little uncomfortable. Why was she going on and on about hidden doors?
カノン君も熊沢さんも知ってるなら教えてくれない？あるならあるって言ってくれた方がいいの。じゃないと今からある人がとても追い詰められることになるわよ。隠し扉があると仮定されたら私の話は全て水の泡。
Where she's going with this is if there's not a hidden door, there's only two options. Either grandfather left of his own accord, or the last person who saw him and the only person who had the key, Natsuhi, did something to him. Assuming there's no other keys and no hidden door. Matsuhi didn't specify which person was about to be driven into a corner, but following the flow of conversation, I had a feeling she was referring to Aunt Natsuhi.
母さん、何の話？
ジョージは少し黙ってなさい。どうなの？源氏さん、カノン君、そして熊沢さん、隠し扉はあるの？ないの？源氏さんはお父様が書斎を改造した時、施工業者の監督をしていたはず。知らないとは言わせないわよ。
そのようなものは親方様の書斎にはありません。
間違いなく片翼の場所を許されたカノン君。
はい、間違いなく。 親方様の書斎に隠し扉などありません。
熊沢さんは。
いえ、私も聞いたことがありませんよ。
お父様と親交の深い南條先生。
私もそんなものは聞いたことがありませんな。
結構。じゃあいい？話を始めるわよ。とってもシンプルな話。
Everyone tilted their heads doubtfully, wondering what Aunt Eva was so proudly starting to talk about. Aunt Eva laughed triumphantly as though she were about to reveal a secret that only she knew.
お父様を最後に目撃したのは、詳しい時間は忘れちゃったけど、今朝の9時前くらいのことだと思ったわ。姉さん、覚えてる？私、あなたがお父様の書斎からちょうど出てくるところに。
ええ、覚えています。それが何だというのですか？
そして次に姉さんがお父様の書斎を訪れ、兄さんたちの遺体が見つかってからよね。それを報告しに書斎に上がり、そこで私と一緒に不在を確認したわ。ところで姉さん、その時お父様の書斎に入ろうとして気づいたことはなかった？
気づいたこと？何のことですか？
ほら、ゴミを拾ったでしょ。畳んだレシートを。
確かにそんなゴミを拾った気がします。それが何か？
そのレシートは私が飛行場に着く前に寄った売店で飴玉を買った。
Aunt Eva pulled a small bag of candy out of her handbag.
ああ、あの時に買った飴のレシート。でも母さん、そのレシートの話が何と関係あるの？
ジョージ、もうちょい黙って聞いとってや。
Uncle Hideyoshi's expression was a little strict. Somehow it seemed that he understood what Auntie Eva was getting at.
本当にこれは気まぐれよ。何かを予見してたとか、ましてや夏日姉さんを罠にかけようとか。実はね、その姉さんがお父様と最後に会って出てきて、そこで私と会ったでしょ。その時書斎の扉に私が挟み込んだものなのよ。
ってことはどういうことですか？つまり夏日おばさんがそのレシートを拾うまで誰もドアを開けていない。
ちょっと待ってよ、エヴァおばさん。レシート挟むなんてバレバレだって。小さなが外出した時に気づいて面白がってもう一回挟み直した可能性も。
Jessica hurriedly argued back. She still didn't know what it meant, but she realized that whatever it was placing some kind of suspicion on her own mother.
もちろんバレないようにレシートは小さく折りたたんだわ。でもね、レシートが落ちるところを仮に見たとしても、扉のどこの高さの部分に挟み込んであったかは私は夏日姉さんが鍵を取り出している間に確認し、レシートが挟み込まれた位置は寸分の1ミリの違いもなく私が挟んだ場所だ。
なぜそんな子供じみたいたずらをされるのか理解で。大方、私の部屋の扉にいたずらをしたのもあなたでしょう。
夏日さんの部屋？
不愉快な話だったので話しませんでしたが、今朝目が覚めたら扉の外側にあのシャッターの落書きと同じと思われる赤い塗料でいたずらがされていたのです。かきむしったような気持ちの悪い跡で。
なんやその話、なんで今まで黙っとったんや。
申し訳ありません。あの後立て続けにいろいろと恐ろしいことが起こったため。
知らないわよ、そんなの。私がしてるのは姉さんの部屋じゃなくてお父様の部屋の扉の話よ。姉さんがお父様がいるのを確認してから私と一緒に不在を確認するまでの間、扉を使わずどうやってお父様は外に出たのかしら。
そんなことは知りません。私が知りたいくらいです。
夏日姉さんの他にお父さんの在室を確認したのは誰や？
ゆうべ金蔵さんとチェスをしたのが夕食の直前までご一緒だったはずです。
それより後の
私です。昨夜の晩餐の。
はい、僕とシャノンも一緒でした。
ここまでは間違いなくお父さんも部屋にいたやろな。だがな、 夏日姉さん、不在だった書斎は窓も扉も全て閉め切られた状態だったそうやないか。なのに夏日さんは今朝お父さんに会って話をしたいうと。
私には皆さんが何を険悪になっているのかどなたか説明してくださいますかな。
父さんと母さんは夏日おばさんが今朝おじい様に会ったというのは嘘だと言っているのかい。
嘘なんかつくもんかよ。なんで嘘なんかつくんだよ。
ジェシカ、言葉遣いを直しなさいといつも言って。
All at once, everything became confused. Across the parlor table, Auntie Eve and Aunt Natsumi confronted each other. George Anarchy confronted Jessica. What the hell is going on?
複数の人間の目撃があるのは昨晩までよ。でも今朝以降、お父様の姿を見たと称するのは夏日姉さんただ一人。そして私の挟んだレシートが物語るさあ、この点と点はどうやれば結べるのかしら。
Auntie Eve urged everyone to work their imaginations. Sure, that receipt could become an important point, but I didn't know what other point I could draw a line towards. The answer Auntie Eva was hoping for was that Aunt Natsuki had lied to make it seem as if grandfather had been in that room this morning. Auntie Eva's mere whim had exposed that.
わけわかんねえぜ。なんで母さんが嘘をつかなきゃならないんだよ。その理由がねえじゃねえかよ。
その理由は私も知りたい。でもね、ジェシカちゃん、お父様の材質を偽る価値が全くないとは限らないのよ。推理小説でもたまに出てくるでしょ。生存時刻を偽ることによって自分の
なんだそりゃ。そんなの聞いたことないぜ。
お父様はまだ見つからないけれど、普通に考えればもう殺されていると考えるのが自然でしょうね。となれば必ず近いうちに死体は見つかる。その時死亡時刻をうまく偽ることができれば夏日姉さんはアリバイをわかる？みんな。
This morning, when Aunt Natsuki went to check that grandfather was there, she lied. He was already dead at that time, and she moved the body to some location, disguised it to make it seem like it had just been killed there. That she could stay with everyone else to repair an alibi. And then she could say, I heard someone screaming or something, and dash over and become the first to find the body along with everyone else. Is that what Auntie Eve is saying?
バカバカしい。推理小説など所詮は娯楽小説。そんなものばかり読んでいるからそのような不謹慎な発想に至るのです。
そうだぜ。死亡時刻を少しくらいごまかしたってそんなの警察が検視すりゃ一発でバレるじゃねえかよ。古典の世界だったらともかく現代日本でそんなトリック本気で通用すると思ってんのかよ。おかしいぜ。
そうかし。今朝南條先生が亡くなった人たちの死体を見て検視結果は環境や個体差に非常に左右されや数時間単位で誤差の出る非常にアバウトなものなのよ。しかも困ったことに警察の科学的な捜査はそこまでの正確な死亡時刻を測ることなんてねえ南條先生。
検視は経験と勘の必要な非常に誤審率も非常に高いと聞いております。確かにほんの数時間程度の誤差を出してしまうことは。
しかしアリバイの世界は数時間もあれば古典のトリックとちゃう。十分に通用するトリックなんや。夏日姉さん、わしらあんたを疑いたいわけやないんやで。疑いとうないから潔白を示してほしいだ
Auntie
けなん
Eva
や。
does want to suspect her, just looking at her smug grin.
何の潔白を示せというのですか。今朝私は確かにお父様にお会いしました。そして心の中に片行くのわしを刻めとお言葉をいただいてあのお言葉をも否定するというのですか。それだけは断じて許せません。お父様がかけられた言葉までも否定することは。
あるいはお父様の遺体はで普通失踪は死亡宣告に7年かかるもの。余命残りわずかなお父様を7年も延命しその財産を独占するには
聞き捨 てなりません。それ以上は聞き捨てがなりません。私は後宮夏希、この身に片翼のわしをまとう資格はなくとも胸の中にしかと刻まれて当主跡継ぎのクラウスの妻としてその責務を代行する私に向かって何たる暴言。
何？その銃で私を撃つの？いいわよ、撃っちゃえば。どうせ言い逃れも思いつかなくて苦し紛れなんでしょ。やりなさいよ。暴力で真実をごまかしてごらんなさいよ。
Wasn't like Aunt Natsu actually been holding the gun at the ready and threatening anyone until this picture. After she was told to by Auntie Eva, she did hold it at the ready. Unsurprisingly, once things got to this stage, Jessica and Genji's son tried to stop her.
奥様、どうかお気をお静めください。
母さんは嘘なんかついてない。ならこんなの聞き捨てなきゃ。
落ち着いてえな。確かにお父さんは部屋にいたと誓ってくれればいいんやで。それだけなのになんでそんなに取り乱した？
それも夏日さんはそれだけのことじゃありませんか。
だから説明してお父様がどうやって部屋からいなくなったの。窓は内側からしっかり閉じられて扉も同じよ。今朝夏日姉さんが間違いなくお父様に会ったというなら夏日姉さんには開かぬ扉の密室からいかにしてお父様が部屋からいなくなったかを説明してもらわなくちゃ。
she's been provoking the person with the gun for hours.
じゃないと姉さんが嘘つきってこと。
あなたという人がどこまで私を愚弄す。
反論したいならぜひしなさいな。そうね、今すぐこの場で釈明をしてみなさい。そうしたらあなたを疑ったことを謝ってあげてもいいわ。あの書斎の密室からお父様はいかにして抜け出したのか。
そんなこと説明もできませんし。
そうなら私が説明してあげる。私の立場も姉さんの立場もいいとこ取りのとてもな姉さんの言う今朝の時点でお父様が在室していたことを信じてあげるわよ。でも次に扉が開かれた時にお父様はいなかった。ここまでは依存ないわよね。
あなたの言うことにこれ以上耳を傾ける気はありません。その軽薄な口を慎みなさい。
私の推理はこうよ。扉から姉さんしか出入りしていないことは私が2回確認している。そしてレシートもそれを立証しているにもかかわらず、お父様を部屋から出すパズルの答えは窓よ。窓から出したのよ。夏日姉さんはお父様を3階の書斎の窓から中庭に突き落としたのよ。
踊れ。
Way to get her with the big insult.
奥様、来ないでください。エヴァ様、どうかおやめくださいませ。
その後、中庭に転落して死んだお父様の遺体。夏日姉さんが屋敷内の戸締まりを確認すると言って出て行った時にどこかへ隠したのよ。多分その時に死亡時刻を偽る工作もしたんでしょうね。
クラウス兄さんたちの事件も、さらに昨べのビアトリーチェの事件もひっくるめてナスシさんが怪しい可能性が非常に高いっちゅうことだ。本当ならこんなことだが、もうぶちまけてしまったからには仕方がない。頼むわ夏希姉さん、どうか自分の無実を説明してくれんか。さもないとわしはあんたを疑わなきゃならんのや。
なぜこの私が
Looks like everyone else has said their piece.
ダメだな。全然ダメだぜ、エヴァおばさん。
ダメって何？
Jessica looked up at me, hanging on to my every word. Not to use expression was composed as always.
全然ダメって何が？バトラ君、聞かせてよ。
一方からしか見られないから、夏日おばさんしかありえないって思い込んじまうのさ。別に夏日おばさんを擁護するわけじゃねえが、そんなハッタリのチェックメイトじゃレシートを軸にした推理はまずまずだとは思う。筋は悪くない。だが俺の採点じゃせいぜい65点ってとこだ。これが答案なら居残りで補修ってとこだぜ。
あら、じゃあレシートで封印されている扉をどうやって破ってお父様を失踪させられるというの？
エヴァおばさんの説は確かに面白い。そしてその説以外にじい様が失踪できる方法がないって言い、最終目撃者である夏日おばさんが黒であると確かに言い切れるだろう。だが夏日おばさんが無実で濡れ衣である可能性が残っている以上、
ならバトラ君は夏日姉さん以外の誰にお父様を失踪させられた？姉さんしかありえないのよ。私のレシートがそれを証明してしまう。一度目に書斎に訪れた夏日姉さん、そして二度目に私と訪れるまでの間、書斎は完全に密室で密室開封後には失踪している。これで夏日姉さんが犯人じゃないというなら、どんなトリックがあるっていう。
だから65点なんだよ、エヴァおばさん。じゃあここでチェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。どうやって外部からじい様を失踪させるかじゃない。どうやって内部からじい様が失踪するかって考えるんだ。扉にはレシートが挟まれていたから使用されていない。窓も出ることはできても外側からは施錠できず、しかもエヴァおばさんは書斎をだから窓も使用されていない。その時点では確かに書斎は密室だった。これは認めるしかない。だがしかし書斎は永遠に密室だったわけじゃない。レシートの封印さえ解かれれば扉は使用可能になり脱出可能になる。つまり夏日おばさんがどうやってじい様を失踪させ、どうやってじい様は書斎を脱出したのかって考え、じい様の書斎はただの書斎じゃねえんだよな。源氏さんの話じゃトイレからキッチンベッドルームまであるちょいとした家並みじゃねえか。例えばベッドの下にでも潜って隠れたらエヴァおばさんもそこまで調べてきたわけじゃねえだろ。そしておばさんたちは失踪したと思い、この時レシートはもうない。つまりじい様は密室である間は部屋に隠れ続け、エヴァおばさんたちをやり過ごした後に部屋から脱出することでこの密室を破ることができる。
何よそれ。どうしてお父様がそんな妙なことをして部屋を抜け出さなきゃならないの？口頭無形にも程があるわよ。
ああ、口頭無形かもな。だがそれでも夏日おばさんが濡れ衣かもしれない可能性は示してる。エヴァおばさんのレシートは完璧じゃねえ。チェスで言えばチェックくらいだがチェックメイトじゃねえ。そして俺が最高に気に入らねえのはそれを夏日おばさんに釈明しろと迫って、それができなきゃ黒だって断定しようとしたエヴァおばさんのその論法さ。
Yes, Kenzo does some weird things.
それがまかり通るって。
Also, she asked the servants only if there was a secret exit, not if there was like a secret hiding place.
ここでもう一回チェス盤をひっくり返させてもらう。エヴァおばさん、あんたと秀吉おじさんが昨日親父たち6人を殺害してからのこのことゲストハウスに帰ったんじゃないってことを夏日おばさんに釈明を強いたんだ。あんたにはもちろん自身の潔白を釈明できるんだろうな。じい様の遺産が全部転がり込むエヴァおばさんよ。
そうだぜ。 エヴァおばさんだって十分怪しいじゃねえかよ。母さんがじい様の最終目撃者だから怪しいって言うなら。
I don't think Battler actually suspects Auntie Eva. I think he's just trying to make a point.
エヴァおばさんだって父さんたちの最終目撃者じゃないか。バトラの言う通りだぜ。自分たちは殺してないってことを証明してみせろよ。
僕もお母さんの推理は少し勇み足だと思うな。レシートの件は確かに重要なヒントだと思う。でもそれはバトラ君の言う通り、夏日おばさんが何がしかの犯人である。僕たちは等しく夏日おばさんだけが責められる道理はない。
誇り高きお父様が床に這いつくばってベッドの下に。そんな誰事で説明がつくと思って。
それならエヴァおばさんが先に特任を誰がどうやって殺して、そして自分が関わっていないという証拠を示してみ。
Well, one of her coughs went like German or something there. Remember to breathe, Jessica.
お嬢様、お嬢様。
Jessica suddenly started coughing. First I thought she was just choking after yelling too loud, but it seemed to be lasting too long for that. She really looked like she was suffering. Jessica kept coughing and choking down on her hands and knees.
しっかり。なんじゃ先生。
ジェシカさん、吸入器を早く。私が持ってきているのが。
Dr. Nanja pulled a bronchodilator inhaler from his own bag, which was lying on the sofa, and handed it to Cannon-kun. Come to think of it, 6 years ago, didn't Jessica break into some violent coughing and have to use that? 6 years ago, I never saw Jessica look like she was in this much pain.
兄貴、ジェシカってこんなに喘息ひどかったっけ？
ここ数年でだいぶ悪くなったんだよ。大丈夫な時はいいんだけどね、突然発作が来ると咳が止まらなくなるんだよ。
お嬢様、お薬です。さあ。
Taking the inhaler from Cannon-kun, Jessica used it with a practiced hand. For a while, it looked like her throat was still feeling itchy, but it gradually settled down.
大丈夫かよ、ジェシカ。びっくりしたぜ。
大したことねえよ。心配すんじゃねえぜ。
Beads of sweat covered Jessica's whole body, and she couldn't hide her rough breathing, but it looked like her sudden attack had calmed down. For now. This disturbance had left the room's hostile environment and atmosphere in an awkward, unsettled state. That was fine. There was absolutely no need to be driving up everyone's suspicions of each other. If you think about it, even probing at each other's alibis and searching for the killer were probably completely unnecessary. After all, we're just powerless, ordinary people. When the police come tomorrow, they'll definitely employ cutting-edge techniques to investigate the case thoroughly, solve all of the riddles, and arrest the killer.
確かにバトラ君の言う通りかしら。夏日姉さんが疑わしいように、私たちも疑わしさを拭えていない。それを今議論し合うのは確かに不毛ね。明日警察に全てを任せれば済むだけの話よ。でもバトラ君だって知りたいんじゃないの？犯人を。大切な人を失った痛みを思い知らせてやるために1秒でも早く知りたいんじゃない？
それは否定しないです。これだけの上等を決めてくれやがった野郎を。たとえでもだからといって18人の中の誰かを疑いたくはない。さっきはああ言ったが、俺はエヴァおばさんだって疑いたくない。俺にとってのエヴァおばさんはちゃめっ気があっていつも楽しくさせてくれる最高のおばさんだ。そんなおばさんとこんな罵り合いはしたくねえ。ここにいる誰だってそんなことは望んでねえはずさ。だろみんな。
バトラ君に同じ意味のない罵り合いだね。多分これだけの人数が朝からひとところにずっと集まってるから。
でしょうな。 無理もないことです。言ってできるものではありませんが、なるべく皆さんリラックスしましょう。
エヴァ、わしらも頭を冷やすべきとちゃうか。レシートの件は確かにお父さんの失踪を探る上で重要な手がかりに、警察が来たら話すといいやろ。
そうね、そうレシートの一件でつい鬼の首を取ったような気持ちになっちゃったのね。確かに夏日姉さんだけを疑うのはフェアじゃないわ。私たちだって等しく疑わしい。でもねバトラ君、レシートの話だけは本当よ。これ、そしてこれがどういう意味を持つか。
Auntie Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi stood up. Looked like they planned on leaving the parlor.
結局私たちはこんな推理ごっこしても意味はない。だってどうせ警察が全て明かしてくれるんですもの。
That's right. Even if we don't play this detective game, when the typhoon passes and those lively seagulls return to the harbor, everything will settle itself. Yes, if we think about it, this kind of crime is completely trivial. It will definitely be resolved, even if we do nothing. When the seagulls cry.
Oh no.
これ以上夏日姉さんも私の顔を見ていたくはないでしょう。私も同じよ。確か姉さんは昨日ゲストハウスに帰らなくて済むようにって客室を用意してくれたのよね。あそこはバスもトイレもあるし、鍵もチェーンもかかる。横になれるベッドもあるし、主人もマリアちゃんとチャンネル争いをせずにテレビを見ることができるわ。
お好きになさるといい。でもくれぐれも用心。
ありがとう。そして余計なお世話よ。姉さんはみんなの監視をよろしくね。犯人はこの中に必ずいるんだから。そして姉さんも自分が監視をされていることをお忘れなく。
捨て台詞はそれで十分ですか？
十分よ。じゃあね夏日姉さん。源氏さん、夕食になったら呼んでね。それまでチェーンをかけて閉じこもってるわ。
源氏、お二人を客室までお送りを。
結構よ。送り狼なんて嫌。むしろ私たちが部屋に行くまで誰もこの部屋を出ないでくれる方。ジョージ行くわよ。
僕はここでみんなと。
ジョージ、この部屋に犯人がそんなところにいるつもり？
この部屋を出るということは親族の誰かを僕はあんな恐ろしいことができる人間が。
ジョージ、あなたからも言ってやってよ。
ジョージももう一人前の男や。そのジョージの仁義がこの部屋から出えへん言わせるなら好きにさせたれ。
父さん。
Auntie Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi left. The only voice that called after them was the sound of the rain. The parlor was being buried beneath a savage atmosphere, and I looked at the clock, I was surprised to find that it was already evening. Had we really spent that much time worrying, talking, fighting about such needless things? Feeling bored, I started clawing at my head when Maria and I made eye contact. Since I had thought she was completely immersed in the TV, I was a little surprised.
今なら信じるぜ。手紙も殺人もすべてベアトリーチェの仕業だ。いや、むしろ頼むからそうだと名乗り出てほしいぜ。19人目の仕業ってことにさせてくれ。じゃなきゃ俺たち18人はいつまでも互いを疑い合わない。これなら19人目の存在を信じる方がマシさ。扉も窓も開けずにじい様を外へ連れ出すなんて。ベアトリーチェならお茶の子さいさいなんだろう。
Maria, after taking a single short breath, hung her head and then raised her face again.
そうだよ。ま 魔女の前に扉の鍵なんて何の役にも立たないんだよ。ベアトリーチェは72柱の全てに精通する。33位のガープは望む相手を望む場所へ瞬時に運ぶ力を与えるし、彼女にとってどのような密室に閉じこもった人間だろうと連れ出すことは難しいことでも何でもないんだよ。
魔女はすげえな。頼むから、もしまだ事件を起こす気なら絶対に人間には無理なことをして俺に19人目を、いや
いいよ、あったら伝えておくよ。
Damn it. I don't even understand my own thoughts anymore. I'm led to believe in a 19th person, I deny it. I'm led to believe that there are only 18 people, I deny that too. Even though I wish there were more than just the 18 people here, I can't accept the existence of that 19th person. In short, even though there are more than 18 people, there are less than 19. The number of people in this mansion is between 19 and 18. The value of X. We have a floating point person here. The number of people can't be represented by an integer. However, it's impossible for there to be anything after the decimal point. You shouldn't be able to represent the number of people with anything but an integer. And yet, X is between 18 and 19. Why does a fraction less than 1 play into this? It's no wonder. That 19th person is an invisible being that can't be seen. That's why the integer representation must be used to describe numbers of people. She can't be seen. That witches cannot be seen, as Beatrice has no body, therefore she is invisible. Is there a 19th person or not? Does the witch exist or not? X is between 18 and 19. The witch exists somewhere in that X. And I think that is a good spot to call it for tonight.